There's a scene in one of the older Superman films that changed how I think about ambition. General Zod comes to Earth looking for Superman. He can't find him, so he conquers the planet to get his attention, takes over America in an afternoon, destroys the last military resistance with a glance, and then settles into the Oval Office with his feet on the desk, looks at his lieutenant, and asks one question. Where's Superman? I'm bored. The boredom is the most important moment in that film. Zod just conquered the most powerful nation on Earth and had nothing left to do. That scene convinced me that orienting your ambition toward a moral good isn't just noble, it's strategically superior. My name is Josh Terry. I help business owners become unstoppable. And I'm in an unusual position in my life where I actually work with people who can affect the world, and not in the abstract. I work with one of the fastest growing podcasters on Earth. I am a counsel to people running security companies and other organizations that have real power to impact the world. And when someone is operating at that level, this question isn't philosophical. It's one of the most practical things we address. Should I be good, or should I break things to get what I want? What actually works at the highest level? I use this Superman framework in those conversations, and it genuinely persuades people, not because it's a cute analogy, but because it captures something real about how ambition works when the stakes are at their highest. If you've already built something at scale, this matters more to you than most people. You're past survival, and you've proven that you can win. The question now is much harder. What is your ambition actually pointed at? And does the game you're playing have a ceiling? Most people never get far enough to face that question, but if you're operating north of 20 million, you've hit the point where direction matters more than intensity. So here's why the Superman story is more than just a comic book reference. Comics are our version of mythology. Each character represents a different part of the human experience. Batman is the shadow. The Hulk is rage. Iron Man is finding a better way. And Superman is one of the most interesting ones for a reason most people miss. He has almost no reason to exist. He has all the power and all the knowledge. Nothing on Earth can touch him. He has great parents, strong values, good community. Across every metric, Superman has already won. There's no struggle left. There's nothing to push against. There's no obvious reason to get out of bed. Literature-wise, this is an incredible challenge to write for. How do you write a story for a character that has no struggle? He should have one of the emptiest lives imaginable. But he doesn't, because he decided he isn't finished until everyone around him is done. There's a line from one of the later films where his father sends him to Earth and says, "You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards. They will race behind you. They will stumble. They will fall. But in time, they will join you in the sun." Superman isn't here for himself. He's here for everyone else. And because he chose that, his life is full. Not in a sentimental way, in a practical one. He always has something to do. He always has a reason to show up. The game he's playing never runs out of moves. The framework underneath this story is incredibly important. Zod conquered Earth in 10 minutes and got bored, because there's a limit to how much you can break stuff. But there's no limit to how much you can build. That's the core idea. Destruction is a finite game. Creation is an infinite one. If you orient your ambition around tearing down, extraction, manipulation, winning at other people's expense, the game gets smaller every time you play it. Every piece you remove from the board is gone. It can't generate anything new, just like Zod conquered a planet and had nothing left to do with it. But if you orient your ambition around building, the opposite happens. Making people more capable, creating systems that open new doors, solving problems that lead to bigger and better problems. The game expands every time you play it. Every piece you add creates possibilities that didn't exist before. Superman's game has no ceiling. Zod's game ended the moment he won it. And this is where it stops being a comic book metaphor and starts being something I use with everyone that I work with. I counsel somebody who runs a very large security company with real power and real reach, And at one point, we had to address this question directly because at his level, the option to break things and get what you want is always on the table. It's not theoretical. He could extract, consolidate, squeeze the competition out of existence, and it would work for a while. But I've watched founders do that. Treat every negotiation as an extraction. Squeeze the partner, grind the vendor, capture every dollar of value that's on the table. And eventually they run out of people who are willing to sit across from them. The market gets smaller each year. They've built a $40 million company, but there's Zod in the Oval Office, wondering why nothing interesting shows up. The ones who build differently, who treat every interaction as a chance to make the total pie bigger, their world expands every year. Opportunities show up because they've built systems that generate new ones naturally. Both types of founders are incredibly ambitious and aggressive. Both want to win. The difference isn't the intensity, it's the game they choose. And the game you choose determines whether your ambition has a ceiling. And to be clear, I'm not making a moral argument for niceness. I'm making one for how your brain actually works. Your mind adapts to the game you're playing. If you choose a finite game where you are only crushing competition in such a way that there is less when you are done with it, some part of your brain registers that there's a wall ahead. It knows the runway is limited, and it throttles your creativity accordingly. Your risk appetite narrows. Your thinking gets smaller because the frame is smaller. But choose an infinite game, and your brain adapts to that frame instead. It operates like there's always more territory ahead. You think bigger, you take smarter risks, and you attract better people because builders want to build alongside other builders. This isn't moral and it isn't mystical. It's how your brain responds to the story you're living inside. I've had this conversation over dinner with smart people who pick it apart from every angle, and they can find faults because they're brilliant. You can always find a logical inconsistency in a metaphor, but the faults don't take away from the utility. Even if you're deeply competitive, even if you're committed to winning harder than anyone else in the room, it's still worth orienting that ambition toward a moral good. Because if you don't, your brain knows there's a limit, and it performs inside that limit whether you want it to or not. So the question worth sitting with is, are you playing a game that ends when you win? Or are you playing one that expands every time you win? The people I work with who are genuinely thriving at scale, not just performing, but actually enjoying what they've built, have all landed on this. They're building something that gets more interesting as it grows. Their ambition has no ceiling because their game has no ceiling. And the ones who are winning but feel hollow are almost always playing a finite game without realizing it. Extracting instead of building, conquering instead of creating. Somewhere inside, they know there's a wall ahead, even if they can't name it yet. So choose good, not because it's virtuous, but because evil has a ceiling. If you orient your ambition toward building something greater than yourself, the game never ends. If this resonates, go to joshterryplays.com and book a call with me. I work with a small number of people who've already proven they can win and are now dealing with the harder questions of what their ambition is actually pointed at. We look at the game you've chosen and whether it has a ceiling, and if it does, we redesign it, so your ambition has somewhere infinite to go. You've already built something significant. Let's make sure it's pointed at something that doesn't run out.